A door stood unlocked next to an open window. Why not go out? In life, we have to make many decisions, but when given two options, we often choose the easier one. Too often, we choose to look at the world through the window. The easier and lazier option, instead walking out of the door, walking out of our comfort zone. Because the world is a scary place, and who knows what's on the other side of the window. So we choose instead to stand looking out the window formed by self-impressions. Numerous corners of psychological inquiry suggest that self-impressions are often flawed. The self-impressions that I struggled with growing up centered around self-doubt. Growing up, I was never that confident of a kid. I doubted my abilities, my looks, my everything. And I thought that I was never good enough. Apart from that, I was also a very curious kid. So for this reason, I've always had conflicting feelings between the want to try new things, to explore the world around me, and the fear of putting myself out there, of walking out of my comfort zone. Even as a kid, I never had that many friends. Back in kindergarten, I invited every single kid in the kindergarten to my birthday party, around 50 kids, and only 3 ended up showing up. Now, when I was young, when people first see me, many would say to my mom, "What a polite and quiet little girl you've got there." To which my mom would respond, "Yeah, she's shy. She can't really express herself around strangers." And before you know it, those "she can'ts" from other people turned into "I can't." And the voices of "I can't" grew louder and stronger when I was 13 years old. If you were to ask a 13-year-old me to sum up my impression of myself in 3 words, it would have been quiet, introverted, and timid. And I grew up with those 3 words engraved in my brain, living almost in a way abiding to those invisible restraints. And then, before you know it, I was doubting myself every step of the way. I didn't really know what to do for the longest time. And for many years, I just kept on living like that, kept on doubting myself and doubting every single decision that I've made. Because you see, up until the age of 13, I lived with my mom in Beijing. And I'd say that I lived quite a normal life. I visited my grandparents on Fridays and had piano lessons on Saturdays. And then one day, I was just walking around my school campus, and I saw a poster on the bulletin board about studying abroad in America. And I wondered if this is a door that I should open. So I informed my mom about the decision. We did some research, and the process moved quickly. And it was not long until I found myself 13 years of age in a new country. I moved in with my host family in Connecticut, waved goodbye to my mom, and wondered how I'd make it in this new world. So, the summer before my freshman year, my mom decided to move to California. After deciding to enroll in Peninsula High School and hearing about how scary those math courses at Peninsula are, I decided to take a summer math course to prepare myself for all the lemons that Penn High has to throw at me. So I informed my mom about this decision. You see, my mom and I, we get each other. She's like honey to my water, milk to my tea. She gave me this "I got you, girl" look, to which I reciprocated with a "thank you, Mom" nod. And 2 weeks later, I found myself completely clueless and on the verge of peeing my pants in the middle of a public speaking class. Apparently, my mom thought that I needed the public speaking class more than I did the math course. Now, our teacher put to use what psychologists would call the flooding technique. We had to give one speech every single day. Now, I can still vividly recall the first speech that I had to give. It was about teaching the class how to do something of your own choice. And being a person who always thinks outside of the box, I obviously chose to teach the class how to eat with a spoon. It didn't go that well. Walking out of the class on the last day of the course, I never felt so liberated. Every cell in my body screamed freedom as I thought to myself, public speaking? No thanks. Simply put, public speaking and I are like two lines with the equation y equals to mx plus b, and the only thing that we had in common was the slope. So I strolled through my freshman year staying as far as I could from any types of public speaking. Recently I read an article online, and the article said that infants function at a genius level. Because when a baby first learns to walk, they might fall 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. But the thought of "I can't" never crosses their minds. And I wondered where along my path of growing up had I lost the confidence and courage. Back then, I would often peek out of the window just to see those people on the other side, confident, outgoing, and admire as words flew effortlessly out of their mouths. I wanted to walk out and join them, but then I'll see my reflection on the window and be reminded of who I am. Introverted, shy. My self-impressions stopped me from pursuing the things that I wanted. It held me back from becoming who I wanted to be. But everything started to change my sophomore year. So the summer before my sophomore year, my mom placed me in a 2-week-long English immersion summer program. Now, when we arrived at the registration place, there were 2 desks. So I walked up to one desk and I asked if this is where students register for the summer camp. The staff member asked me for my name and started looking through the roster. After a while of paper flipping, he looked up, a little confused, and told me that he couldn't find my name on the roster. Apparently, there were 2 summer camps running at the same time. One was the English immersion summer camp, the one that I was in. The other one was the speech and debate program. And I went to the wrong desk. After registration, the staff member came by and told me that he thought my English was already pretty good and that he thinks that I should do the speech and debate program instead. And so I thought I'd give public speaking another try. The 2 weeks went by pretty smoothly, and the beginning of my sophomore year, I decided to try out for the speech team. I took a hammer and broke out of the window that kept me in up until then. I did it, and the world didn't end. In fact, I received a lot of positive feedbacks, so I did it again and again. Now, was it easy? Of course not. the first 3 weeks of speech were kind of rough, and frankly, I almost got an anxiety attack the first time that I had to speak in front of a judge, but I'm overcoming the self-doubt, the voice of I can't, every time I stand up and speak to a crowd of people. And looking back, I know that I have come a long way. You can't change the way that others think about you, but you can always change the way that you think about yourself. A Stanford University study showed that the belief you hold about yourself can affect your ability to perform and achieve goals. The study revealed that those students who thought that they can change their performance and do better in high school actually achieved higher test scores, got better grades, and became more motivated learners. Basically, the people who thought that they can actually did. So I hope all of you guys would have the courage to choose the harder path, to choose to walk out of your comfort zone, to pursue after your dream and not let the voices of I can't stop you. So next time, when you're doubting yourself because you think that you can't, think again. Break the window of distorted self-impressions and instead go for the door. Because once you come through the other side, you'll be so proud of yourself. And it's not until then that you realize how different the world is on the other side of the window. Thank you.